Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Mark Buzz, and today we're going somewhere a little creepy, a
Ooh,
little crawly, but totally
that
fascinating.
sounds intriguing.
We're talking flying cockroaches in California.
That's right, I'm Anna Bubbs, and I'm here to help you understand these creatures a little better. We're using a recent article from Simple Pest Management
Oh, cool.
called Flying Cockroaches in California. What to know so you can get the facts straight from the source.
And, the idea of flying cockroaches might sound like a horror movie,
Uh-huh.
but it's a reality for a lot of folks, especially in Southern California. The article even names Los Angeles and San Diego as hotspots. Are you in one of those areas?
Yikes.
If so, you're really going to want to pay attention to this.
Definitely.
But even if you're not understanding these pests, can make a big difference in how you approach pest control in general.
Absolutely. What's interesting is that not all cockroaches are created equal when it comes to flying.
Oh,
Some are more like gliders, while others rarely take to the air at all, and even those with wings prefer to crawl most of the time.
so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. This deep dive is going to break down the four main types of flying cockroaches you might encounter in California:
Okay.
American, Oriental, Brown Banded, and German. Each one has its own quirks and habits that are important to know.
That's right. And starting with the American cockroach, these guys are the heavyweights of the cockroach world. They're the largest of the four with a reddish-brown color. You'll usually find them in damp, dark places like sewers and basements,
Oh,
but they can also venture into homes.
speaking of damp places, that brings us to the Oriental cockroach, sometimes called the water bug.
Right.
They love moist areas like basements and undersinks.
And they have a rather notorious reputation for their smell.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually a pheromone they use to attract mates, but to humans, it's definitely not pleasant.
Talk about a bad first date. But, it makes you wonder, why would such a foul smell be an advantage?
It all comes down to their environment. In those damp, dark spaces where they live, strong scents are more effective for communication.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a fascinating example of how evolution shapes even the most seemingly unpleasant traits.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we've got the large and damp-loving American, the smelly Oriental, and next on our list is the brown-banded cockroach. These guys are much smaller than the first two and are known for their speed.
They are incredibly fast crawlers and prefer warmer, drier areas. And here's where things is really interesting.
Uh-oh.
They often hide inside electronics.
Wait, seriously. Inside electronics.
Yes, behind your TV and your computer, even in small appliances. So if you've been noticing strange noises or malfunctions, it might be time to investigate for those brown bands.
Okay, now I'm a little paranoid. I think I need to go check my TV right now.
Uh-huh.
And finally, we have the German cockroach. These are the ones we hear about the most, right?
Yes, they are one of the most common indoor pests in California. You'll often find them in kitchens and bathrooms attracted to food and moisture. While they have wings, they rarely fly, but they do have another superpower:
What's that?
their ability to reproduce rapidly.
How rapidly are we talking?
A single female can produce tens of thousands of offspring in a year. That's why even a small infestation can quickly spiral out of control. Early detection is absolutely crucial when it comes to German cockroaches.
So you're saying don't wait until you see roaches running around your kitchen to take action. It might already be too late by then.
Exactly.
So we've met the usual suspects, but what does it actually mean to have these flying cockroaches in your home?
Well, there are some serious health and property risks to consider. Cockroaches, flying or not, are known to spread bacteria and germs that can cause food poisoning and other illnesses.
Right.
They can also trigger allergies and asthma in some people.
It's more than just an ick factor then. We're talking real health concerns.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to homes. Cockroaches can infest restaurants, grocery stores, hospitals, anywhere food is prepared or stored. This makes the risk of contamination even greater.
Wow. And we've already talked about how fast they can reproduce, so a small problem can quickly turn into a big one. But let's say you're suspicious. How can you tell if you actually have an infestation brewing?
There are a few telltale signs to look for. Seeing cockroaches during the day is a big red flag.
Oh, really?
They're nocturnal, so if they're out and about in broad daylight, it often means the population is already quite large.
So if you see one scurrying across your kitchen floor in the middle of the afternoon, that's not a good sign.
Not at all. Another thing to watch out for is their droppings. They look like little black or brown specks and can be found near food sources and cabinets or even along baseboards. These droppings can actually be quite dangerous as they contain bacteria and allergens that can pose serious health risks.
It's a good reminder to stay on top of your cleaning routine. But droppings aren't the only thing they leave behind. What about those egg casings you mentioned earlier?
Right. Cockroach egg casings called oothecae are oval-shaped and brown or black. They're usually hidden away in cracks and crevices.
I see.
Each casing can contain a large number of eggs, so finding even one means you could have a much bigger problem on your hands.
It's like a ticking time bomb for a full-blown infestation.
That's a good way to put it. And finally, don't underestimate your sense of smell. A
Oh,
strong, musky odor that lingers in your home even after cleaning could be a sign of a cockroach infestation.
so you're saying if your house smells a little funky, it might be time to call in the experts.
It's definitely worth investigating further. While there are some DIY methods you can try, sometimes you need professional help.
Right.
Companies like Simple Pest Management have the experience and tools to handle these situations effectively.
They can identify the type of cockroach, locate their hiding spots, and come up with a targeted treatment plan. They can even advise on prevention strategies to keep those cockroaches from coming back.
Exactly. But let's zoom out a bit and consider this. Cockroaches have been around for millions of years. They've survived all sorts of environmental challenges.
Yeah, it's true.
Why are they so good at surviving even when we try so hard to get rid of them?
It's a good question. What is it about these creatures that makes them so resilient?
Well, they're incredibly adaptable. They can tolerate extreme temperatures, go for long periods without food or water, and they reproduce rapidly. This combination of traits makes them incredibly difficult to eliminate completely.
It almost makes you admire their tenacity, their ability to thrive against all odds.
There's definitely something to be said for their survival skills, but from a practical standpoint, understanding their biology and behavior is essential if we want to control them effectively.
It's like knowing your enemy right. The more we understand about them, the better equipped we are to develop strategies to keep them out of our homes and businesses.
Precisely, knowledge is power when it comes to pest management. But let's not forget the most important weapon in our arsenal, prevention.
That's right. It's always easier to keep cockroaches out in the first place than to deal with an infestation once it's taken hold.
Absolutely. And the good news is there are some simple things you can do to make your home less attractive to these unwelcome guests.
So we know prevention is key, but what does that actually look like in practice? What can we do to keep those cockroaches at bay?
Well, first and foremost, sanitation is absolutely crucial. Cockroaches are attracted to food and water sources, so keeping your home clean and tidy is your first line of defense. That means wiping down counters, sweeping floors, and storing food in airtight containers.
So basically, don't give them a free meal.
Exactly. You also want to seal up any cracks or crevices where they could be getting in, check around windows and doors, as well as any openings around pipes and utility lines.
It's like building a fortress against these tiny invaders.
That's a great way to think about it. And don't forget about regular inspections. Take some time every few months to check for any signs of cockroach activity, especially in those dark hidden areas like under sinks and behind appliances.
That makes sense. The earlier you catch an infestation, the easier it will be to manage.
Absolutely. And remember, even if you do everything right, you might still encounter a cockroach or two. They're incredibly resilient and can sometimes find their way in despite our best efforts.
Oh, no.
But don't panic. Having a few cockroaches doesn't necessarily mean you have a full-blown infestation.
So what should you do if you do spot a cockroach?
First, try to identify the type of cockroach you're dealing with. Remember our discussion about the American Oriental, brown banded, and German cockroaches?
Yeah.
Each one has its own habits and preferences, which can inform your control strategy.
Right, so if you see a large reddish-brown cockroach near a damp area, you're probably dealing with an American cockroach. If it's smaller, fast-moving, and found near electronics, it could be a brown-banded cockroach. And if you find one in your kitchen or bathroom, chances are it's a German cockroach.
Exactly. Once you know what you're dealing with, you can take appropriate action. There are a variety of DIY methods available, but if you're not comfortable tackling it yourself or if the infestation seems widespread, it's always best to call in a professional pest control company like Simple Pest Management.
They have the expertise and experience to handle these situations safely and effectively, and they can also provide valuable advice on preventing future infestations.
Precisely. Remember, cockroaches are a part of the ecosystem,
It's true.
but that doesn't mean they belong in your home.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. I think we've all learned a lot about flying cockroaches in California, from their unique habits to the risks they pose and how to prevent and manage infestations.
I agree. It's been fascinating to explore these creatures in detail and to share what we know with our listeners.
And a big thank you to Simple Pest Management for providing the information that made this deep dive possible. Don't forget to check them out on social media for more great tips and resources. And to all our listeners, if you like what you hear, please follow us and give us a like. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a fascinating topic. Until then, stay curious.